The Dead Sea Scrolls are more than just ancient writings. They offer a rare window into the religious world of the past. In the previous episodes, we explored what's written in the scrolls and the controversies surrounding their discovery. But how do these texts connect to the origins of Judaism and Christianity? Could they shed light on the beliefs and practices that shaped early faith traditions? In this episode, we'll explore the links between the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Jewish sects of the time, and even the early Christian movement. If you want the full journey, be sure to check out the earlier episodes. But for now, let's dive into these fascinating connections. These scrolls were not simply the writings of an isolated group of people. They offer us a glimpse into the world of ancient Judaism, a world that was far more complex, diverse, and fragmented than we might imagine. But the real question that lingers is this: how do the Dead Sea Scrolls illuminate the birth of Christianity? Could they contain hidden clues about the origins of a movement that would change the course of history forever? To understand how the Dead Sea Scrolls connect to early Christianity, we must first step into the world of Second Temple Judaism, a time when Jewish thought was as dynamic as it was divided. The Dead Sea Scrolls reveal a spectrum of beliefs and religious practices that coexisted during this period. The Jewish people were living under Roman rule, and tensions were high, not just between Jews and their rulers but within the Jewish faith itself. Different sects vied for religious authority, each interpreting the Torah and prophetic texts in their own way. The Essenes, the group most associated with the Dead Sea Scrolls, were an apocalyptic sect that saw themselves as the sons of light, chosen by God to prepare for the final battle against evil. Their obsession with ritual purity, communal living, and strict legal interpretations set them apart from other Jewish groups. To the Essenes, mainstream Jewish society, including the Pharisees, Sadducees, and temple priests, had become corrupt, and they believed only they preserved the true way of righteousness. But the Essenes were not alone. The Pharisees, who emphasized oral tradition and strict observance of the law, held significant influence among the people. The Sadducees, largely made up of the priestly elite, controlled the temple and rejected certain beliefs such as the resurrection of the dead. And then there were the Zealots, revolutionaries who sought to overthrow Roman rule by force. It was in this volatile and diverse religious landscape that early Christianity was born. The teachings of Jesus did not emerge in isolation. They were influenced by the competing Jewish ideologies of the time, including some ideas that bear striking similarities to the beliefs found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Among the many sects of Judaism, the Essenes held a particularly radical worldview, one that, in some ways, foreshadowed elements of early Christian thought. The Essenes believed the world was teetering on the edge of a cosmic battle between good and evil. Their writings describe a coming judgment in which the righteous would be vindicated and the wicked would perish. This apocalyptic expectation is eerily similar to themes found in the teachings of John the Baptist, Jesus, and later Christian texts such as the Book of Revelation. One of the most intriguing texts among the Dead Sea Scrolls is the War Scroll, which lays out in chilling detail a prophesied war between the sons of light and the sons of darkness. This echoes the eschatological imagery found in Christian teachings, where a final struggle between the forces of God and Satan will usher in a new divine order. But perhaps the most striking parallel between the Essenes and early Christians is their shared belief in a messianic figure. The Essenes anticipated two messiahs, one priestly, the other kingly. Christianity, on the other hand, proclaimed Jesus as the singular Messiah, one who redefined kingship not as military conquest but as spiritual salvation. The Dead Sea Scrolls contain numerous prophetic writings, texts that speak of divine revelation, judgment, and the coming of God's kingdom. These themes would later become central to Christian teachings. One especially intriguing text, the Messianic Apocalypse, describes a figure who will heal the sick, bring salvation to the oppressed, and raise the dead. The similarities to the ministry of Jesus are undeniable. Could this text represent a messianic expectation that influenced early Christian beliefs? The Essenes also practiced communal living, sharing their possessions and resources, an idea that finds echoes in the early Christian communities described in the Book of Acts. Was this similarity mere coincidence, or did the first Christians adopt some of the communal ideals of the Essenes? Did early Christians absorb the apocalyptic fervor of the Essenes, or were they simply drawing from a broader tradition of Jewish Messianic thought? These are the questions that continue to puzzle scholars today. Beyond their connections to early Christianity, the Dead Sea Scrolls have revolutionized our understanding of the Old Testament itself. Before the discovery of the scrolls, biblical scholars relied on medieval copies of the Hebrew Scriptures. The Dead Sea Scrolls, however, predate those texts by 1,000 years, providing invaluable insights into how biblical texts were transmitted and preserved over time. Some passages found in the Dead Sea Scrolls differ from the traditional Masoretic text, suggesting that multiple versions of certain biblical books circulated in antiquity. This has deepened our understanding of how the biblical canon evolved and has even influenced modern Bible translations. These discoveries remind us that the Bible was not a static document. It was shaped by centuries of interpretation, debate, and revision. So, what does all of this mean? The Dead Sea Scrolls do not tell the direct story of Christianity's birth, but they do provide a glimpse into the religious currents that shaped it. Did the Essenes influence Jesus and his followers? Or were they simply fellow travelers in a broader movement of Jewish Messianic expectation? Were early Christians radical outliers, or part of a larger apocalyptic tradition? The Dead Sea Scrolls may not provide all the answers, but they bring us one step closer to understanding the deep, interconnected history of Judaism and Christianity, two faiths that have shaped the world in ways we are only beginning to fully comprehend.